Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second KASB update for March 30th. I'm just watching House members trail out of the Capitol after what for us has been a disappointing evening. In some ways, perhaps not terribly surprising. I'll get the highlights quickly and then we can talk a little bit about it. Number one, House Bill 2119, the school funding slash private aid expansion slash remote learning bill did pass on emergency final action with 65 votes. It had been advanced to final action earlier. The House also passed a budget bill which cuts, as I understand it, guys correct me if I'm wrong, cuts essentially the governor's recommended expenditures pretty much across the board by 2%. As we understand that, that would include funding for education. I believe what that means, it's a 2% cut from what had been approved for the upcoming year. So it's not a cut below last year, but a cut below what was expected, and from our viewpoint, a cut below what was approved of the Gannon phase-in. We don't have specific details, we're getting them. So two actions by the House, very disappointing. Would also just quickly note a few other things. A conference committee reached agreement on a tax bill that would make the changes in school budgeting to address Senate Bill 13, if you've been following that. So schools are still under the new reporting requirements, but there's some flexibility, I guess you could say, in timelines. Not ideal, but that was approved. But the conference committee took out extending the 20 mil levy, although the 20 mil levy is extended in House Bill 2119. Finally, it's perhaps noteworthy that, as I understand my notes from today, the Senate agreed to House amendments on Senate Bill 50. This is a major tax bill which would reduce state revenues by around $100 million a year, and that probably has played into the House decision to try to do some spending cuts. So I guess the final way to put that is, as I would summarize it right now, the Senate position is to reduce education funding by about $500 million, $570, $80 million over 2 years, with the intention of replacing it with federal COVID aid for schools, which most people don't believe can be done. The House position does not do that, but does reduce spending next year by 2%, including most education funding. So guys, that's a top overview. You were listening and watching all day. Anything you want to add or amplify, or when we'll have more information available?
Well, I mean, like you say, these were disappointing votes. House Bill 2119 got 65 votes. It needs 63 to pass. So it was close. But yeah, I guess we'll go into a conference committee with a House bill that has a lot of policy stuff that we don't like, and a Senate bill that has a budgetary maneuver that is iffy at best. So we just have to keep, I guess, providing information to our legislators, and anything we can do to help that, please let us know.
Leah,
yeah, I mean, we can, it was a very close vote. They only had two more, we were hearing early in the day that they might not even have the 63. So I think that does say that there was a lot of hard work on our folks' behalf, on the advocates' behalf. And there's also an incredible amount of pressure that is brought to bear on these representatives. I think particularly, the freshmen are under a lot of pressure. So we're going to have to keep communicating with them as this goes to conference, and just it's a tough night, but we have to vow to fight again another day.
I think it's fair to say that at least one of the yes votes was sort of indicating this was a bit of a procedure vote and he might not vote the same way again. There was discussion about kind of removing the education savings account piece. What the Senate has not passed yet, has not even had hearings on. Normally, this bill would go to the Senate for work in the committee. At this point in the legislature, this is more a House position which has been set down. A lot will now go to conference committees and up and down votes by the House and Senate. So Leah's correct. We need to still continue on getting information out, having you reacting with your legislators. We'll be sending out the final roll call votes. We obviously encourage you to thank those who voted your way. And if people didn't, all we can do is kind of try to find out why, kind of see where they might be, and future maneuverings will no doubt be continuing to go on. So the House will not be meeting tomorrow for business. They're kind of done for the week. It looks like we'll be back next week, mostly for conference committee work. The Senate is coming back at 9:30. One thing we will be watching is if they take up the civics bill, which was scheduled for debate today but didn't get there, and there are a couple of other education bills that could potentially also come up. We haven't seen the calendar for tomorrow, so look for a report on that tomorrow. So I just wrap up by saying thank you for all of you who were actively involved in this issue, for communicating with your legislators. Certainly this is just another step in the project. We would ask you to stay involved, and whatever information we can do or help, please let us know. Any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap up for tonight? Scott, you're muted if that was
I'm sorry. It's been a long night, that's all.
All right, very good. Thank you, everyone. And we will be expecting to have our regular Friday report in a little more detail. And at some point tomorrow, when we're monitoring the Senate, we would expect to do a short report tomorrow afternoon or evening. So thank you all very much. Have a good evening.